You know what? I get it. Dealing with this stuff is hard. Dealing with going back into your past and dealing with painful memories, that's difficult, especially if you have to go in and forgive somebody that harmed you, especially when they've never ever said sorry, or maybe they even died and will never be able to say sorry. I get it. I get it that this is not easy stuff. But let me be perfectly clear. Forgiveness is not clearing the person. It's not pardoning the person. It's not saying what they did or didn't do was okay, or that it didn't matter, or that it didn't hurt. It did matter. It does matter. It hurt. It was wrong. And yet, Jesus calls us to forgive. Forgiveness takes them off your hook, so to speak, and puts them on God's hook. It's releasing them from your right to vengeance and your sense of justice, releases them to God, who said, "Vengeance is mine. I will repay." And besides, he can do a far better job than we can. Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean now you have to be that person's best friend again, or that you have to trust that person ever again, or put yourself in front of a truck. Vengeance, forgiveness, these things do go hand in hand, but it's releasing them. We are mandated to love. We are not mandated to trust. We're mandated to love, and we're mandated to forgive. Forgiveness is free. Trust is really expensive and needs to be earned by character and competency. But we're called to forgive. We're called to love. Remember Jesus, in teaching us how to pray, he said, pray this way. Don't be like the hypocrites. Pray this way. And he included, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. As we forgive. Did you have to say that, Lord? As we forgive? Are you serious about that? In Mark adds the detail that Jesus added something in, and he said, "For if you don't forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive you." Wow, he seems pretty serious. He basically is saying, listen, if you don't forgive, you disqualify yourself from the freedom found in the Father's forgiveness. Serious stuff. In other words, it is majorly beneficial for us to forgive, and it helps us cut off bitter roots. Hebrews 12:15 says, see to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God. That's his gift of grace, that no, quote, root of bitterness, unquote, springs up and causes you trouble, and by it many are defiled by that bitter root. Forgiveness, so first, is a choice of the will before it's a choice of the feelings, or based on a feeling. It's I choose to forgive. I choose to forgive because of all that I've been forgiven. I choose to. Feelings may or may not come, but I choose to forgive. That is where the battle is won and lost, when we remember we chose to forgive. When we see that person across the street or across the room, and that core emotion begins to rise to the surface, giving you heartburn, you win the battle when you say, no, I chose to forgive. And you know what? The enemy's going to come knocking a few times, but when he's convinced that you're convinced, he'll leave you alone in that area. Oh, he'll come knocking again, but at an opportune time and in an altogether different area. But it'll take a bit. You got to make that decision to forgive. Choose to forgive. And then there's a process of forgiving. And maybe not. Feelings will come, but you've made that choice out of obedience to Christ, who said, forgive. Eventually that battle will be won. But the enemy will come knocking, so let's be aware. of his tactics in your life. People say, well, it just pushes my buttons. The question is, why are those buttons there? Yep, the enemy will come back. And as they say, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Maybe another way, maybe a better way might be to say, we'll bridge that cross when it's time to bear it.